election.
It's like 10 market days? I don't know. It's something.
Let's go to Nathan Dean, Bloomberg Intelligence Senior Policy Analyst. Nathan, again, 22 days to the election. What are the good folks in Washington, D.C.? What are the talking points these days?
So this is actually a quiet time right now in Washington because everything's happening out on the campaign trail. I mean, we saw Vice President Kamala Harris today just release another round of proposals, this in an effort to attract black voters. But some of those proposals were interesting in terms of supporting marijuana legalization. There was talk about enhanced cryptocurrency regulatory frameworks. So even though we're only 21 days before the election, these policies are still coming out. Now, on the flip side, you have President Trump. President Trump hasn't been really releasing new policies per se, but certainly continuing to push the message. But in terms of like who's going to win and so forth, this is going to be an extremely tight race. I was just playing around on the terminal a few minutes ago, and if you look at the charts of the Electoral College, pretty much every week you have a different winner. So this is certainly going to be very, very close and very tight.
8 years ago, there was the secret Trump vote where no one was saying they were voting for Trump, but then they did. I'm starting to hear more of there's a secret Harris vote. Is that a thing?
I think so because, look, the best way to look at it this way is that President Trump has always had a ceiling in terms of his support. It's around 43 to 44%. Nobody knows what the ceiling is for Vice President Harris. So there's this thought out there that she could go potentially higher. But one of the charts that we were playing around with this morning just shows you the number of independent voters that are still undecided. And amongst those 7 swing states that matter, you're looking at somewhere between 0.5% and 2%. So this is really a race about turnout. This is President Trump versus Vice President Harris versus the couch. And if the couch wins and people stay home, President Trump will very likely win. If people come out and vote and we see record turnout, then Vice President Harris will win. But I was joking with a colleague who works at the House over the weekend. This could come down to the state of Pennsylvania and whether there's a snowstorm in Pittsburgh or Philly. It's going to be that close.
Not the storm thing. Every time, it's raining, therefore. But there's early voting now. Doesn't that make a difference and all that stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I said that tongue in cheek, but, early voting is certainly something very important. We've seen both candidates call for their supporters to go out and do that. So, the message is essentially that there's going to be 150 to 170 million Americans that are going to vote in this election. But ultimately, it's going to be 100,000 amongst those 7 swing states that are going to decide who the next president is. So, the other thing to keep in mind is that, polling is extremely tight. But over the last couple of election cycles, you've seen the actual results be a little bit different off that polling. So what I mean is if polling says it's going to be like essentially a tied race, the last 2 elections have shown that actually the real results shows that it's usually 2 or 3 percentage points a different way. So you probably could get a clear winner come, the week of the election.
All right.
I don't know. This is going to be wild.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have the energy, and I don't even cover politics. All right, Nathan, thanks a lot. Nathan Dean, Bloomberg Intelligence Senior Policy Analyst, joining us on that. All right, coming up, it is our weekly